Has this ever happened to you? You're at an event and somebody comes up and says, "Tell me an interesting fact about yourself." If you're anything like me, your mind goes blank and you have no idea what to say. If this happens to you, then this video is for you. I know I'm not the only one this happens to because I hear it a lot. And it has happened to me, but I figured out ways to deal with this particular problem along with certain other social issues that come up on occasion. But in this video, I want to talk about how to deal with that question that is going to come up invariably, where someone wants you to tell them something about yourself, give a weird fact or something else about yourself that, when asked, our brains tend to lock up. One way that I've found to deal with these kinds of things is to be ready in advance. You know, these things happen a lot. So the best way to deal with these is to go in prepared in advance, having some ideas of things that you're going to respond with. And if you stick through this video, which shouldn't be too terribly long, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of weird facts about me. We all have interesting bits of information. We know that these questions are going to be asked, and the best way to deal with it is to be prepared. You can grab yourself a 3x5 card, a notebook, something, and jot down interesting facts about yourself. Other bits of information that you may be asked for with one of these questions that invariably come up at events. And then before you go to the event, go back over it, review it, come up with a couple of the ideas to be able to pop up and say, these are some weird things about me. Go back and review that list regularly. Stop and look at it once a month, once a week for a while, so that you can be ready to rattle some things off. Before you go to an event, be prepared and have a couple of those in your mind for when somebody says, tell me something about yourself. Tell us something interesting about you. What's an interesting fact about you? What's a weird fact about you? And if you're prepared in advance, having an idea of what to say, even if you keep it to just one or two limited items, you're better prepared to be able to respond when you are asked that question. So today, I'm going to tell you some interesting and weird facts about me. And here's something to note. Your weird facts can be weird. They can be strange. They can be just straight up factual. And they can also be something, depending on who you are and your comfort levels, they can also be things that are maybe a little uncomfortable. An interesting thing about sharing things that are maybe a little uncomfortable is that it may encourage other people to also share things about themselves that they may not be comfortable sharing, but because you've shared something strange and that might be embarrassing or uncomfortable, somebody else might feel ready and able to open up about some of their stuff as well, if I can get my mouth to work. All right, so some interesting facts about me. I've never been to New York. Pretty basic, pretty simple. That's a fact. I've also never been to the Grand Canyon. However, my family did go. My family did a trip one time. They went to see the Grand Canyon, and I just said, you know what? I'm not going. I'm staying home. And that's what I did. They went to see the Grand Canyon, and I stayed home. Some other interesting facts about me. Some people will say that they have hit a brick wall, usually figuratively. I have literally been hit by a brick wall. Yes. When I was a child, there was a brick wall that was next to a house that I lived in. It was not secured very well, and One time while I was out playing, the wall got pushed over and fell on me, so I got hit by a brick wall. Another interesting fact about me is I'm ambidextrous. I use both of my hands equally well, and a lot of times when I'm writing, sometimes I will write with my right hand on papers that are on the right. Sometimes if the paper's on the left, I'll write with the left hand. But when I'm using a notebook, something like this per se, I may start writing on one side with the paper on the right with the right hand, but when I flip the paper over, I will switch to my left hand and write on the back side of the paper with my left hand. Another interesting fact about me, I can wiggle my nose. I bought a house when I was 21 and had it repossessed when I was 24. The Bank of America, thanks Bank of America, lost one of my payments and refused to let me work with them to bring the account current. They would not accept partial payments, and the amount I owed kept racking up, and so when I was 24, they repossessed it. Another interesting fact, I have met one of the key critical items to be able to become a star in Hollywood. So I know one of these days I'm going to become a star because I've met one of those key critical requirements. I have 4 divorces. I am one of the only 1% of people out there who have had schizophrenia and beaten it. Only 1% of the people who get schizophrenia beat it, and I am one of those 1%. I fought it for 11 years and have now had a clean bill of health for longer than that. Some of these facts may sound like bragging, but you know, it's a good thing to tout your accomplishments, and these are not meant to be bragging. And this is one of those accomplishments that I'm quite proud of, and people might think is bragging, but it's not. I graduated college, I got my BA, and I graduated debt-free. I worked my butt off through college. While going to college, I got grants, I got scholarships, I cashed in insurance policies and sold things I had to be able to be sure that when I graduated, I did not have any loans or anything outstanding. I have started and run four businesses in my life. I did a mobile computer repair business. I had a janitorial service that I ran. I had a media production company, and now I am an entertainer and a life coach. I pierced my ear. My ear is pierced 3 times. I did all 3 piercings myself, and I have never had any of my holes closed. I grew a full mustache when I was 14 and a full beard when I was 16. And my high school classmates thought I was a narc working for the government or a teacher when I was still a junior in high school. I also lived by myself and supported myself my senior year in high school. I moved out of the house. Home life was not a good situation at all, so I moved out the summer between my junior and senior year in high school and finished my high school year while living by myself and supporting myself. If you're enjoying hearing these facts about me and you'd like to find out other ways to better deal with life in general, be sure to like this video and subscribe so that you find out more information when new videos are posted. Here's another interesting fact about me. I can feel electromagnetic signals. When I have an MRI done, I can feel where they're scanning. I can feel where they're scanning in my body, and I can tell the MRI techs where they're scanning, and it really freaks them out. Also, before we had Wi-Fi signals everywhere, I could sense the Wi-Fi signals and I could tell people exactly in their house where their routers were. It's a lot harder now because those signals are everywhere, but I can feel those signals and I can tell where those things are. I have seen a UFO, or I believe I have. When I was younger, I was sitting there looking out my window one night, and there was a strange bright dot in the sky. And I just sat there. For some reason, it had me really captivated, and I sat there staring at it, just watching. And after a few minutes of sitting there, it started scrolling through colors. A little bit faster, a little bit faster, a little bit faster, a little bit faster, and then it was very fast, then it shot straight up into the air and disappeared. I think it was a UFO. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. In a similar venue, I have also lived in several haunted houses that were haunted, documented haunted, and experienced things in at least one of them. Others, I had heard that others had experienced things, but I didn't. I've also worked in a place that was haunted. I worked in a old school building that had been turned into a community center. It was definitely haunted. I was employed as a janitor at this place at the time, and I experienced a lot of really bizarre things. I wasn't the only one to have experienced these things. Other people did too. A lot of other people would not stick around, but I worked at this place for over a year before I ended up having to quit because I moved. Here's one of those interesting facts that could be very embarrassing. Not something that I would normally share everywhere, but I wet the bed until I was 11 or 12. Home life was not good, and yeah, it took me a long time to be able to overcome that. Another interesting fact about me, I was in a mental institution for 28 days. It was 28 days. I should have had more, but the insurance wasn't going to pay for more, so I was turned out onto the street. Another rough but interesting fact about me, I've been homeless 4 or 5 times. So I understand what it is to be homeless and have nowhere to be. And the last interesting fact about me for this video is I have purchased only, I've had a lot of cars that I've owned in my life, but I've purchased only 2 cars in my life off of a dealer lot, and both of those cars have been repossessed thanks to my various ex-spouses. So, what of those facts did you find to be most interesting about me? Which facts do you relate to? Have you had similar experiences or things that you deal with that are similar? Do you have interesting facts that maybe I didn't talk about that you would like to let me know? Let me know down in the comment. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe so that you know when I have posted more interesting facts or other things about myself. Thanks for watching.